Powerful insights often occur when you least expect them. On Transformative Leadership Conversations, they're at the heart of every episode. Hi, I'm your host, Winnie da Silva. It's the final episode of Season 6. Yay! So for the last 3 months or so, Transformative Leadership Conversations has explored leadership with a slightly different lens. So in this Season 6, Think Differently, Transform How You Lead, we've explored the idea that most of the leadership challenge we faced aren't always what they seem. Across the season, I've challenged common myths and assumptions about leadership, coaching, and organizational growth, demonstrating that real transformation rarely happens easily or quickly. Instead, leadership transformation happens when things like complexity, conflict, feedback, or change expose the limits of how we currently think, communicate, and operate as leaders. We explored why coaching isn't remediation, but acceleration, why leaders are often solving the wrong problem, why most leadership development efforts fail to create meaningful behavior change, and what you can do instead, and why influence, trust, communication, adaptability, experimentation, and asking better questions are so vital in our ability to lead today. I also shared a few of the leadership frameworks I use most often with my clients, including story, behavior, result, adaptive leadership, and trust, and illustrated them through client stories of leadership transformation in practice. So this has been my biggest takeaway. Transformation is always possible, but it requires leaders, teams, organizations to engage, challenge differently, rethink patterns. I use this word a lot, but experiment with new ways of operating and intentionally building greater capacity over time, often with the support of an experienced partner like me or others who can offer strategic input and perspective, challenge assumptions, and help navigate transformation more effectively along the way. But none of this happens without your own deeply held desire to want to change, to transform, to reach beyond what you think you might even be capable of today. So transformation is rarely comfortable, clean, or linear. Most of the time, it's pretty messy. It can be confusing. It can feel totally disorienting because the things that once made you successful may stop producing the same results or may even be holding you back. A leader who built their career on being highly capable in one area may realize that what they know now won't get them to the next level. A founder who once needed to drive every decision now becomes the bottleneck, slowing that company down when the company's scaling. A leadership team that prides itself on everyone getting along may discover that avoiding conflict is hurting trust, creating organizational dysfunction, and honestly paralyzing their ability to innovate. Sometimes it can even feel like our very identity is being challenged, not just our behavior or our output. Difficulties and challenges will almost always force us to confront the possibility that our own stories of ourselves as leaders is now no longer working. Of course, we're not abandoning our strengths altogether here, but instead we're building onto them the next layer of leadership, rather than letting those same strengths hold us back. And yet there's also another part of the story. It's not simply about individual leadership. The leadership environment itself has changed, as you probably have noticed. Because, of course, organizations are operating inside higher levels of complexity, uncertainty, speed, yet interdependence and transformation like never before. But add to that what we're calling AI, artificial intelligence, or what it really is, LLMs, large language models. This is all accelerating that shift and those shifts further and deeper. Leaders have always been rewarded primarily for their expertise, their answers, execution, and their individual performance. Now, while those things still matter, the rise of AI, for example, is beginning to fundamentally challenge how we think about human versus machine value. The emerging age of AI is currently eroding our identity as leaders and how we even think about what leadership is. But When information, analysis, and technical competencies become increasingly automated, the leadership differentiators are the value only humans can generate. Things like strategic thinking, judgment, trust, communication, influence, emotional intelligence, empathy. Successful leadership is predicated on continuously evolving the ways in which each of us provides critical and unique value. And yet, how can we as leaders rise to the occasion? How can we prepare ourselves for this changing leadership landscape? Well, here's the good news. Human beings were built for change. While our brains are reluctant to expend precious energy, and change demands a lot of energy, our brains are inherently built for learning, for creating new patterns and habits around how we think and how we act. We are made to grow. But it also takes hard work, including all the things I've talked about before, like experimentation, reflection, practice, conversations within trusted relationships, and repeated opportunities to grow through challenging conditions. Partnership matters so much in transformation work, not because someone else can do the work for you, because of course they can't. The leader or team or organization owns the growth. But growth often accelerates when someone can walk alongside you and help you see things more clearly. Someone who can challenge assumptions, notice patterns, create space for reflection, offer perspective, and help you think differently about the situation that you're currently navigating. I sometimes think about it like this. I may not know your exact street, but I know your neighborhood. I've spent decades working alongside leaders and teams navigating all the difficult things. And while every situation is definitely unique, there are often recognizable patterns underneath what people are experiencing. And maybe that's the deeper thread beneath this entire season. Transformation is possible, not because leadership eventually is easy, but because human beings are capable of evolving in response to challenge, complexity, pressure, and change. The moments that stretch us most as leaders often become the moments that transform us the most, if we're willing to engage with them intentionally. So here's my challenge to you. Don't let this season be something you consumed. Let it be something that moved you. The leaders who adapt and thrive in the next decade aren't the ones with the most expertise or the longest track record. The leaders are the ones who are willing to keep evolving, to stay curious, open, and open to growth. That's the invitation this season has been building towards. Not to become a different leader overnight, but to decide right now that you are someone who grows and wants to grow. Someone who engages challenge rather than avoids it. Someone who leads their own transformation. And that decision, of course, starts with you. And yet, you also don't have to figure it out all alone. Reach out. Let's explore what transformation could look like for you. Because the fact that you're here still listening and still learning, that already tells me something important about who you are as a leader. Thank you for listening to this episode and this season of Transformative Leadership Conversations. And of course, if you're ready to take your leadership to the next level or empower your teams for success, I'm here to help. Reach out to me directly at winnie@winifred.org or visit www.winnedasilva.com to learn more about my work coaching executives, developing critical leadership skills, and helping organizations build effective teams. You can also find me on Substack, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Because remember, you're always welcome to take a seat at the table where every conversation has the potential for transformative change.